Good morning. My name is Ryan, and this is week one of our Healthy Horizons tobacco cessation program, Ready to Rise and Preparing for Change. Starting off with our week one agenda, we're going to talk about our Healthy Horizons program requirements. We're going to talk about our program expectations. Then we're going to move on to knowing about your history. And what is your history on tobacco and nicotine usage? Knowing your why, we're going to talk about your reasons why to quit, to make some changes. Then we're going to move on to the science of addiction to tobacco and nicotine products. Then we're going to move right into some tools that can help us make some changes. We're talking about medications that can help us quit, talk about our NRT virtual visit that we have to offer you guys, and wrap up today's class with some key takeaways. So starting off this week, we just want to introduce the program requirements. This is how you're going to be able to avoid the tobacco surcharge for the following year. To avoid the tobacco surcharge, you must complete and attend all 5 weeks of the program, must complete the weekly homework before the next online class. So, for example, this week we'll have week one homework. You must complete that week one homework before our week two class. So please make sure to complete the Healthy Horizons program. Then we also have to complete the Best Health Biometric Screening process, which includes the online health risk assessment questionnaire and the in-person screening. So please make sure you're completing that Best Health Biometric Screening before the deadline and completing the Healthy Horizons program so that we can avoid the surcharge for the following year. Just please note we can only override that tobacco surcharge if you can complete the program and the Best Health Biometric Screening. If you only do one part of the process, we cannot override that tobacco surcharge. Please let us know if you have any questions regarding the screening process. We can help you with that process. And again, we just want to make sure that we're able to help you guys. So if you know you're going to miss a class, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can get you into another class. We just want to make sure everyone's attending the classes, completing their weekly homeworks, so we're able to complete this program. If you have any questions, have any trouble, please reach out to your instructor as soon as possible. So moving on to the program expectations. Hopefully you guys got the introductory email with the guidebook. So this week's all about preparing for change. So just kind of setting up the class, setting up the program this week. Week two is all about triggers. It's break the pattern, rewiring habits. So we'll talk about triggers, how we can manage our triggers, how can we recognize all those triggering situations. Week three is our plan to quit, your strategy for success. We'll focus on building a personalized quit plan. Week four is stronger every day, taking control and staying quit. And lastly, week five is focused on the future, a healthier path forward. Talk about some more motivating reasons to improve and work on our health and wellness. To maximize your experience, we want to ask you guys to be timely to class. Please attend the class each and every week. If you know you're going to miss, reach out to us. Or if you miss, reach out to us as soon as possible. That way we can make sure you complete the program. Also want to submit those weekly homework assignments on time. Do within the week. Go ahead. It should not take too long. If you guys can go ahead and get those done as soon as possible, we really appreciate it. We also want to encourage you guys to use your guidebook to take notes, reflect on the weekly topic. What are your key takeaways? What do you want to work on this week? And lastly, you get out what you put in, right? It's great that you guys are coming to class, but a lot of this work that's going to help you be successful is done outside of this class. So if you guys can really think about what do you want to work on from class this week to make these changes to, reduce our usage or to quit. Again, not always going to be easy. It's going to require lots of effort, lots of energy, lots of focus. Again, the more you put in, more work you put in outside of the class, the more you will get out. So if you have any questions about the program required expectations, please let us know. But just starting off with today, we want to encourage you guys to be more self-aware. Know your history around their tobacco or nicotine use. What is your history? How long have you been using tobacco or nicotine products? Use cigarettes, dip, smokeless, hookah, cigars. We're all going to be a little bit different. Just knowing our history will help us be more self-aware, help us understand our tobacco and nicotine use and our patterns. Right, we kind of want to know Are we more nicotine dependent or really physically dependent to nicotine? Or is it more of a habit? Right. For example, if we're smoking 2 packs a day, probably really physically dependent to nicotine. Whereas if we're smoking one cigarette after work, once a day, probably more of a habit. Are we highly organized? Are we self-motivated? What is our readiness to change? Have we already been changing, right? This is going to be a little different from each and every one of us. If we're ready to change, it's certainly going to be easier to start to use some of these tools we talk about in our class. You want to think about your environment. Do you live with someone that smokes or uses tobacco or nicotine products? Is it allowed in the house? Is it allowed in the car? Is it allowed at the workplace? Then lastly, just knowing your history, think about all those times you've tried to quit in the past. I'm sure some of you guys have been successful before. Really want to think about what went well, what strengths helped you be successful, what challenges led to relapses, right? Just a lot of information we can kind of gain from that experience. What do I want to use again? What do I want to do differently this time? Just thinking about the past, how can we apply that to be better this time? Then once we're more self-aware, then we can really start to think about our motivating reasons why we want to make some changes. What are our motivating reasons? What are your motivating reasons, right? What is meaningful to you? Write down your motivators, come back to them often. Knowing your motivators really help during those tough moments. So again, why are you trying to quit? Why are you trying to change? Your reasons matter, right? Not my reasons, but your reasons. Why do you want this for yourself? What would life be like if we're able to quit? 6 months from now, what would things be like? What would it be like? Think about in the future. Right, quitting is not just about stopping behavior, but it's really about moving towards something better. So again, think about your why. Your why really helps us remind you why you're working up towards these tough goals, help guide you back after some slip-ups. So now moving on to the science of addiction to tobacco and nicotine products. Nicotine can lead to both physical and psychological dependency. Some of us might be more physically dependent. Some of us might be more psychologically dependent. Might be balanced out between the both. And this goes back to knowing ourselves. Where do we fall on that continuum? And to quit, we must deal with both the physical dependency and the psychological dependency. Psychological dependency is really about our habits. All right, so starting off, physical dependency, right, our body adapts to that nicotine, wants it regularly. If we're not ingesting that nicotine, right, so think about that 2-pack-a-day smoker. If we're not getting in nicotine regularly, we're going to start to experience those withdrawal symptoms pretty quickly, right? Those are not fun. The psychological or behavioral dependency, right, our habits, right, these are going to be our daily routines, our emotions, environments that kind of become linked to our tobacco use. So starting off with the physical dependency, right, again, this is all about our body just adapting to the nicotine and wanting it regularly. Right, again, going back to that 2-pack-a-smoker-day example, when we're not getting it regularly, we'll start to experience those withdrawal symptoms. Right, so typically when we're using our tobacco nicotine products, our nicotine reaches the brain within seconds, releases that dopamine, that reward chemical. The dopamine makes the brain link nicotine to feeling better, maybe more calm, more relaxed, more focused. Right, and over time, the brain can really expect that nicotine to feel normal. It expects that nicotine ingestion. This is why nicotine can be so addictive, right? It's more about brain chemistry. It's not about personal weakness or lack of willpower. It's just brain chemistry. Brain is getting that dopamine from getting that nicotine. Now, on the other hand, we have our psychological dependency. This is going to be about our habits, our daily routines, our emotions, environments that become linked to our tobacco use. Maybe we're using our tobacco after meals. Maybe we're using them during stressful situations or other emotions. We'll talk a lot more about our triggers next week. We'll talk a list about all the triggers. But maybe it's even while we're driving, right? Sometimes it's truly habitual. Right, nicotine is tied to all those, potentially tied to some of those habits, right? Again, it's going to be different for all of us. Or we'll think about, right, how can we manage these habits, change these habits, because these habits can trigger urges even without the physical withdrawal. Right, so a lot of times when we're trying to quit, we're trying to cut back, it really means changing our routines, changing our habits, not just stopping the nicotine. Again, we'll talk more about triggering situations next week. But just starting off this week, if you're truly trying to quit, medications can help you quit, can help deal with a physical dependency. Behavior change in combination with a short-term medication can increase success rates, right? We'll talk more about behavior change next week, but this week we're going to finish up today's class with focusing on the short-term medications. Nicotine replacement therapy options and non-nicotine prescription medications can help reduce withdrawal symptoms and decrease cravings. They are safe and effective. Using these medications, right, is just a tool. These are not magic pills. We're not weaker because we're relying on them. Right? It's just another tool in our toolbox that we can use to help make some positive changes. The medications can really help control the physical and psychological dependency to our nicotine. And we can even combine some of these medications for even greater chance of success, such as combining the patch with the gum. So we're going to go through both the NRTs and the non-nicotine prescription medications. Starting off with the NRTs, they just provide a small amount of nicotine, allows us to manage those withdrawal symptoms, allowed us to focus on the behavior change while we're trying to make these changes. So some of the examples, the patches we can put on our skin, we get a small amount of nicotine through our skin all day. The gum and the lozenges, both we get a small amount of nicotine through the mucosal membrane in our mouths. You can use those in the moment. We can also potentially use an inhaler or a nasal spray. The non-nicotine medications, those we do not get nicotine from, but they work by reducing the pleasure associated with tobacco nicotine use, so really work on the mental side of things. The two big examples are Wellbutrin and Chantix. Both can have a positive impact when we're trying to quit. So again, really want to encourage you guys to think about your specific situation, pull from past experiences. Do you want to use the NRTs or the non-nicotine prescription medications? The nicotine gum, patches, and lozenges, we can get those over the counter or with a prescription. The nasal spray, inhaler, and non-nicotine medications, we can only get those through prescription. But our health insurance will pay for the quitting medications if we get a prescription. Right, so I think that's a big part. We can get the gum, the lozenges, the patches, the medications paid for if we have a prescription. Kind of have two options. You guys are feel free to use your own physician. You might have to pay for a copay for the office visit, but if you get a prescription, you can pay $0 for any of the medications that help us stop smoking. But on the next slide, we'll share you guys, we have an opportunity for you guys to schedule a virtual visit to get the NRTs at zero cost to you. We're going to cover the office visit, and you get a phone call with a nurse practitioner. We'll get a prescription all sent to you at zero cost to you. So for the virtual visits, if you're a Tennessee or Mississippi participant, you can schedule your own virtual visit. You want to call the scheduling number between 8 and 4:30. Set up your appointment. Should get an email from your instructor with some more specific information. Feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. For the Arkansas participants, we have to add you to the another list. We'll have an Arkansas provider reach out to you. But just an important note, your prescription should be covered at 100% when filled correctly. If the pharmacy indicates there will be a cost, please do not pay out of pocket. We will not be able to reimburse that. So if they're asking for a cost, please contact us for assistance before paying. And again, with the medications, right, that's totally your choice. Medications can make quitting more comfortable, more doable. The decision is always yours. There's not a one size that fits all, right? Think about your past attempts, your level of dependency, your preferences, right? And think if the NRTs will be part of your quit plan when, we want to combine that with the behavior change and other support tools. Some key takeaways. Change starts with awareness, not willpower, right? We talked about knowing our history. Let's understand why we want to quit. It's going to be so much more powerful than just forcing ourselves to change. Quitting is a process, not just a single decision that we're making today. So let's start preparing our mindset, preparing our environment to set ourselves up for later success. We all quit for different reasons. Your reasons matter. Why are you trying to make these changes? Is it health, family, emergency, energy, finances, freedom from all valid are all valid motivators. Right? Readiness is going to look different for each and every one of us. We don't have to feel 100% ready to begin. Progress starts with just some specific intention. And lastly, small steps today can lead to a big change tomorrow. Preparing now can make quitting feel more manageable and less overwhelming. So please make sure to complete our week 1 homework. You should get a link emailed to you guys. Make sure to complete that as it is required before the next online class to continue with the program. If you guys have any questions, please email your instructor. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.